Good evening and welcome to the Car, Sim and Race Driver Show with me, Hugh Hattrick, and my very special guest, all the way from the other side of the country, it is Andrew Marr. How are you doing, Andrew?
Hello, I'm just... I do this. This is going to be my new thing, you know. What I'm going to do is I'm going to be like this and then just come up. Maybe I should wear a hat or something. I don't know.
Well, I got this for a very kind person, a very kind friend of mine. See, look, the Blanc paint. Got a lovely Blanc paint cap, Andrew. The Blanc paint. Yeah, you see?
Yeah, with you.
Yeah. Aye, yeah.
You should wear it. We should. This is my non-tartan version. I'm pretending I'm Jackie Stewart or Jimmy Clark. That I've got a farm. Now, can you see me on Podbean? Because it's saying I'm sort of connected.
Yes, saying you're online. Yes. So I think we're all there. Yep, you're listening. Yep, you're one of the listeners there coming in. So that sounds like that is working. And hopefully you'll be picked up as well on that. Welcome to the show and to all our guests and all our listeners. We are going to talk about Formula One testing in Barcelona because today it was slightly wet. It wasn't as sunny as normal. And we have another special guest about to join us.
Oh.
My goodness me. Here we are. It is...
Whoa.
Hello.
Hi there, Hugh. Hi, Roo. How you doing?
Hello.
Very well, thank you. How are you?
Oh, good stuff. Not too bad. I've made the technology work first time, which is remarkable for me.
Well, technology is as technology doesn't do.
Yeah.
Now,
what I can do as well, for you, Jonathan, I can send you a quick link on Podbean. And if your computer is able to log into both, it means that people will hear you on Podbean too.
Okay, we'll try that.
I will give me 2-3 seconds there. But we're all going to talk about the testing tonight the Formula One testing in Barcelona because it's been pretty exciting and lots of things happening. So I will just quickly...
You might be going to ask my computer to do two things at once, Hugh, which might be a little bit easier said than done.
There we are. Well, that's it sent anyway, so hopefully that will work.
I will look out for that.
But so I have here in front of me the most up-to-date testing times of today's testing at Barcelona.
Put that back.
You want to see it again?
No, I don't want to stop seeing your face. It's great. Sorry.
All I need to do is to remove you from the stream.
He has the power.
What's the American say? Sorry, not sorry. Anyway.
Sorry,
I would like to point out before we get serious and talk about real things, is that I was just suggesting we wear hats. Jonathan's done it like by magic, so
Well, yes. I don't have any hair, so it's a way of keeping warm up here in the frozen north.
Hey, North Wales coast, freezing with the wind. It's not biting; it's got big teeth.
We have one of your friends on watching us here on StreamYard. It is Aunt Salamino. It's saying hello. So he's one of our first guests to comment, which is great. So keep the comments coming in, and I'll do my best to make sure I don't forget about them. But as we did a couple of weeks ago, or in fact that was a month ago now. But yeah, so we're going to have all the info. I don't know if you've been watching the testing as well, Jonathan, but or you've been hearing a little bit about it. But it's been quite good. There's been Ferrari, would you believe, have pulled a bit of a surprise at the last minute today, and gone to the top of the tables with Vettel.
Wow.
After being really struggling quite a bit for the last few days, even last week they were struggling quite a bit, and now it's the turn of Mercedes to have reliability problems and engine trouble. So it's changed a little bit, but I think the top three teams are going to be absolutely on it in terms of Ferrari, Red Bull, and Mercedes. And then follow.
Which Mercedes, the pink one or the silver one?
Controversial.
Yes.
Oh, meow. Hold on, wait a minute. I've just got to cover myself legally. Allegedly.
In Minecraft.
We use that term quite a lot here, but
allegory.
Yeah.
Allegory.
So yes, no, it's been good. So now you were saying earlier, Andrew, that you have been watching quite some of the videos and recordings of testing.
I
and
have used YouTube to
Yeah.
a great extent, and some of the sum ups at the Autosport, and also the Formula One website itself. F1.com. Put a few videos on there. Some of them are really good. They did an excellent one. The first thing I want to say, because they're my old favourite team, is the congratulations, William Racing's team, for making a car that looks like it can go around a corner. I apologise for the slight sarcasm. I had to make it sound funny, but I'm so pleased they've managed to do that. I really am. Anyone that's a true F1 fan,
you want to see Williams do well.
You want to see them do well because they're a relatively little team that struggled budgetary wise. Frank Williams is a racing god in the circles, and Claire's had a lot of criticism. Why? Because she wears a skirt or something. That's stupid. Whatever they've done, they've kept going, which has shown such tenacity. I think it's fantastic. And they've got a car. But on YouTube, there was a Formula1.com video, which they put up on their channel, showing George Russell in last year's car and in this year's car at the same time. Doing that sort of side-by-side split screen thing. And you can see he's got so much more confidence in every corner. When he turns the wheel in the old car, it's fighting the car. And this one, he just turns and goes around it. And he's a second a lap faster in the same conditions. Marvellous. I mean, they're not going to be winning races this year. They're not going to be at the front, but at least they've got a car they can compete in. And we can watch them have a good fight. And watching Latifi and Russell, who a pair of talented young men.
Yeah, I mean, Russell won the Formula 2 championship, GP2. So it's I think he's got a lot to give. If anything, when he beat Lando never managed to get the Formula 2 title. So I think give George Russell a chance, and he's going to be right up there, which is great. Yeah, really, really good.
There's all these idiots asking him. They're trying to push them, aren't they? For sound bites and stuff like this, aren't they?
Yeah,
and they're asking him, "Oh, you're at the back. Are you giving up yet?" Like all last year, and he's just saying, "Look, I know where we're going. I'm confident with what we're doing. I'm confident. I've got the confidence of the team. I believe in them, and we're going to be okay." And I just thought, how old is he? 20 what? 21, 22, something like this.
Yeah, they're pretty young. I know that's an incredible thing. But we've got a great group, and obviously you've got Hamilton, you've got Albon, he's kind of half. Is he half? Filipino? Is he? Thai. He's Thai.
Singapore, I believe. Is it Singapore?
I thought it was Thai. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm sure our listeners can put us right. Then, of course, we've got Russell and Lando Norris. So we've really got a fantastic range of Brits there who are right up there and showing that they've got talent as well as being able to drive for good teams and getting into good positions. So I think it's going to be, hopefully they had a very good rookie year, to be fair. And I think this year they'll show that they can do even more. But I think there's only probably maybe one or two drivers, maybe even just one driver that I think maybe isn't, well, I mean, they can all justify being there because they managed to get there. But I think pretty much all the drivers in the current crop are worthy of being in Formula One. It's even like people like Lance Stroll has managed to get podiums and things. So I think you've still got to be good enough to be able to get those kind of results. I think in the old days there were a lot of drivers that really paid their way in, but now I think that's much rarer.
Pedro Diniz, anybody?
Yeah, Pedro Diniz, remember that? Yeah.
Yes. So goodness me, a real back marker, mobile chicane. Yeah.
I've got to say, firstly, I'd like to say well done. He is Thai British. I was wrong, but my personal favourites were people like Shinya Nakano and. What was that other one? They were just.
There's Andre De Cesaris, who poor thing, he died in a scooter accident in Italy or something. A massive shunt. He used to crash cars all the time. He was called his nickname was Andre De Crasherus.
Yes,
by James Hunt.
James Hunt. Yeah,
that must have been just before my time because I didn't hear James Hunt. I wasn't watching Formula One regularly.
Yeah, he died in '93, didn't he? It was '93.
Right, okay, that's 2 years. I started in '95, so.
Yes,
I'm describing Thierry Boutin as an incredible journeyman. That's it.
Yeah, he's a journeyman. Yeah,
it's so rude. He said the only good thing is coming to Belgium was Hercule Poirot. He's a journeyman. Why is he even here? He's spun again, I remember him saying. And you could hear Murray go, and anyway, moving on. Thanks, James.
Yeah, there were no commercials on the BBC at that time, were there?
Oh, well,
Lucky they would have pulled the sponsorship.
Yeah. Now, just to make sure, our Podbean listeners may not be hearing Jonathan, so I just wanted to double check. Have you logged into your Podbean yet?
No, that's beyond me because it only works on you need Apple, I think, to use Podbean. So,
Jonathan, do what I do. Get your phone out, open up Podbean, and call in from there. That's what I've got.
Call in from Podbean on the phone. All right.
Yeah. So if our Podbean listeners, hopefully you're hearing not just myself, but you're hearing Andrew and hopefully Jonathan as well. But we'll confirm that. If not, please let us know in the comments. That would be fantastic if you can let us know so that we know that everything is actually working. Because we've all updated our computers. We're all trying to get our technology to work, but it doesn't help if nobody can hear it. So if you can hear us all, it would be great to just have that confirmed.
I'd like to have a shout out to the people that have joined us on Podbean.
Yes.
Andy125M. Good on you, mate.
Yes. Thanks to everyone. Now, we may well have a few people joining us from Germany tonight. In fact, all over the world, actually, because I put a video on the Michael Schumacher fan page, the King of Formula One, on Facebook. And it's done well. It's had about 70 plays so far, which is great for my YouTube channel in terms of for a video that I've done on that. And it was really interesting because there were some real, that every country who has a Formula One driver in F1, there's a lot of fans supporting them. But of course, with Schumacher being such a, incredible Formula One figure, across the whole globe, Schumacher's so big. So the core support is really fantastic. And I'm hoping to do a podcast with some of the guys from the Michael Schumacher group and just do a podcast with them one day. So if they're listening tonight, it's great to have you with us. And if you do want to get, to come on the show, send us an email at podcast@cardioadvisor.co.uk, and I will make arrangements so that you can join us on the show as a guest, just like Andrew here and Jonathan as well. I think it would be really good because I think it's quite interesting to get the kind of cultural difference as to how these people, everyone, supports their drivers and what they remember about their favorite driver and how it all works, and all the stories that they'll have of going to a Grand Prix and something that happens and it was just unique to them. So I'm hoping to try and do that, and we can have a great show with again, just like us all fans of Formula One, and bring in the stories and things like that. Does that sound good? I've got science.
Excellent. It's a great sales pitch. Yeah.
Listen, I wouldn't argue with the Schumacher fan club anyway, because.
But no, they were really good. They were lovely to me, actually, and they said really nice things about my video, which was great. So it was.
Where I used to work, there was two lasses who worked there, and they were big Schumacher fans. And because I wasn't a particular Schumacher fan, I appreciated the guy's skill and everything. I was a DC fan, and Hakkinen and all this kind of stuff. So, and of course Damon Hill. So, if I even looked like I was about to say something slightly negative about my Schumacher, they'd kill me. It was just great. I used to go in there going, I'm not going to say anything. Did you see the race? Was it a good race? And all stuff like this.
Your friend has said Rue is more like an armchair than a guest.
Well, he can get stuff because I've got less padding than he has.
I'll just say keep the comments coming thick and fast, and we'll do our best to read them out if we can, if we're allowed to. We don't have to worry about being demonetized because we're not making any money from this. That's for sure.
Hold on. So we could get paid.
Well, yeah, only in euros, mate. So, whatever they're worth. It was like, I
have a question. Who loves Gunther Steiner? I love Gunther Steiner.
Oh, yes. And I think the new series of Drive to Survive starts next week, doesn't it?
Yeah, or even tomorrow.
I saw that on Netflix, actually. I've been wondering about having a look at that. So
so any listeners out there, it's time to do your free month subscription. So just sign up next week, watch Drive to Survive, and then cancel it again. I didn't say that.
Well, I go month to month anyway. I've pretty much exhausted Netflix this month, and next month I'll go on to something else, and then you do it like that.
Exactly. Just keep rotating. That's it.
I mean, come on.
Well,
The reason why I mentioned Gunther Steiner is because of the pink Mercedes. Sorry, the back in the days when they were called Force India, they were very critical of Haas for being a Ferrari painted a different colour.
Yeah, that's true.
And I Gunther Steiner, who I adore, I just love the stuff he comes out with and his honesty about things, has been really, what's the word? Not constrained. He's been really nice about it. He's been very controlled in his response to them having a Mercedes painted.
So what's the crack on that? Just for newbies like me, I haven't been following it. Have they actually copied the car, or is it just remarkably similar, a little bit like Concordski?
It depends who you. They use the Mercedes wind tunnel, okay? So they have a lot of access to Mercedes things and people. It's got a Mercedes engine in it. So there's bound to be, because the engine and gearbox are the same, the back end can be designed in a very similar way.
Right.
If you look at the front wing, there are minor cosmetic differences between the front wing of the latest, whatever the 20. I forgot what they're called, what the pink thing's called. What's the name of that?
Racing Point.
Racing Point. Yeah, blancmange on wheels. And Angel Delight, let's call them that. So the front wing is pretty much the same. They've even got, the nose comes down on the W10 and then does that. It's even got that.
Oh, right. Okay. So it's remarkably similar.
It really, when I'm looking at it, I'm thinking, I can't tell. There's far too much pink and not enough grey.
That's maybe what they hoped, that by just painting it pink, you'd think, no, it's nothing like the Mercedes because it's clearly pink. So
you can't see properly, But then so as part of my research today, looking on YouTube, the Autosport had Tim Wright, I think his name is their some technical expert, some old guy. He needs a pipe. He seriously needs a pipe. He's got the slippers already. And he was going through, it's minor differences. It's not exactly the same and all this kind of stuff. Then right at the end, he goes, basically it's the same, isn't it?
You could argue that maybe the engine mounts could be the same as the Mercedes. You could argue that perhaps some of the diffusers around the back of the engine. But when it gets to the front wing, you'd think that's not really very near the engine, is it, Mercedes? Yes. So, good effort there by the pink Mercedes.
The cynic among us might think that the small changes, because they're not exactly the same, to the front wing are there because the front wing's the most obvious part. And you would most easily see the similarities. So if it's slightly different, they'll go, no, they're a bit different. But what I think is very telling, at the end of the day, I can't remember his name because my brain's gone, but the team principal of Racing Point, when they was asked him about this, he said, look, the rules are being chucked out at the end of this year, okay? Yeah. For the first time in years, we've got enough money to do this kind of thing. So why not just make something that's going to do well so that we go into the 2021 regulations on a high? So basically, I think what they've done is they've copied it because they know that it's just going to be for this year. Stuff it, we get as many points as we can, get as much money in the bank, and then in 2021, it's all going to be all new anyway.
And have Mercedes sort of just given this the kind of the nod in the background and let this happen? And will we see perhaps next year, perhaps Racing Point being used as a Mercedes almost development team to bring drivers into Mercedes, rather like Toro Rosso, whatever they're called these days, feed into Ferrari?
Alfa Tauri, it's Italiano, eh?
Yeah.
Or Minardi, as I like to call it.
Minardi.
I miss Paul Stoddart. Having a hairy, scruffy-looking Australian businessman, just like racing and doing it anyway.
That's it.
Alonso and Webber started there. What? There's nothing to complain about.
That was the thing.
Yeah.
I just love Gunther Steiner's quote. He said, "Stop whining."
All right, boys. Stop
whining and drive.
Don't stop hitting each other. I will have you shot.
That's right.
Or you'll be fired.
I have the cannon out of the back, and you shall be shot. Done.
He's very, very funny.
Oh,
He batted in for the team. The engineer said, "Okay, Kevin, this is done. Just stop whining, and drive the car." It was brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
Now we have a question. We have a
Oh.
question by one of our viewers saying,
on.
have they updated any rules for the season, or is it the same as last year? It's pretty much the same as last year, which is quite good because it means it should hopefully bring the pack together and make it even more competitive.
Somebody was making the comment that the reason why the engines and everything on the cars are so relatively reliable now is because they've been stable for 8 years. So, I mean, you know, the engine regulations have been stable for 8 years. Okay, they got wider wheels and aero changes, but you know I'm with Ross Brawn on this. You keep the rules the same. People are always moaning about, oh, Mercedes and Ferrari got all this money in Red Bull and they're running away with from the pack and this kind of stuff. Well, stop changing the damn rules then. They're the only ones with the money to keep up with the pace of development. Little teams haven't got any money, so they kind of, little increments, they learn as they go along and they make things better. After 10 years of the same rules, all the cars are closer together naturally because they've used innovation rather than just cash throwing money at it. But I don't know. Considering how clever these people have got to be to run, you'd think, they're idiots running the sport because they go, oh, we've got to stop them from having an advantage, so we'll change the rules.
Yeah, exactly. They just get a new advantage because they just, as you say, they just throw money at it.
Idiots.
But
and are these changes being pushed through by Liberty Media, or is it coming from the FIA? Because presumably they must work pretty closely together.
Liberty, yeah.
Because Liberty will, I mean, they're the people who've got the money, obviously, behind F1. I know they're looking to get many more American races coming up, maybe 3 races in the USA in the next sort of 5 years or so, to try and log into that American market. But the Americans won't take boring races, so they're going to have to change it up a bit so that it can be more overtaking and make it a bit more interesting.
As long as they stop Americans shouting, because, oh my God, Austin, Texas, when the drivers come out and they shout, and here comes Ricciardo, shut up. Let them walk out and get on with it. God, the fun's meant to be the driving.
And here comes Michael Andretti.
No.
Well, he's here somewhere. Oh no, he's crashed.
It was quite well. Similarly, they were trying to get a race in Miami, but there's been a lot of the local groups in Miami have protested and have won a case, so that I think they're having to change it or potentially not have it at all.
Is this environmentalists?
Well, I think it's just the way they put the racetrack. They want to close certain roads, and I think they say it's going to cause a whole lot of problems. So the locals have got together and said, actually, no, we don't want it, or certainly not in its where they've put it so far. But I'm not. I have to say, there are tracks I think would be quite fun to use. I like the track in Texas is great. I'm just not convinced that Miami is the place to do it. In some of the Indy cars, they use like old or even active runways, and airfields and things like that. And it kind of maybe works, but I think for Formula One, it needs either something like Monaco, which works so well because it's got the history and the glamour and the city looks so nice. It's a lovely looking place. I'm just not sure if Miami can quite carry that off. Unless it's different if it was down the strip, near the beach and all that kind of thing, where it would be quite glamorous.
You'd think the cost involved in making it in Miami would be massive. And if you think about it, why not have F1 on one of the ovals? Have an oval race. If you can have Monaco as its own race, and you can have Monza as its own race, then they're so different, those tracks. And actually one oval race would be hilarious because they'd have to actually drive differently, set the cars up differently. So what do people think about having one race a year in America on an oval?
Well, I think it'd be lethal.
It might be quite entertaining, though.
we sort of kind of did, because I used to enjoy the races on the Indy 500 circuit in Indianapolis.
Yes, and that was quite good.
What an amazing place. I've said it before, I'll say it again. Americans know how to put on a show. And what you've got is 300,000 people that can see the whole race. This instead of one corner. Now, okay, they had this kind of Mickey Mouse thing in the middle, which I have played on a computer. I was terrible. But those couple of corners you've got. So, as you say, John, why not just Antonio, behave. Sorry, just comment from Ant, which I'll deal with in a minute. what, like you say, forget the infield bit, and like you say, just have the whole oval. That would be amazing. Because the thing about F1 is it's a sort of a weird compromise car, isn't it? That can go superbly fast at places like Monaco and superbly fast at places like China or Baku with these massive long straights. I mean, Baku, you've got a straight where they're hitting 240 plus miles an hour, and then they've got to go around a little castle.
Yeah, exactly. That's hilarious. That little, it's single file traffic virtually, and then you barely fit through.
Now we've had a question. Oh, you've been answering this question, have you, Hugh, from Bobby Digital?
Yes, I've just been answering it. Yeah,
a very interesting point about materialism in Miami, about selling it to them as a way of making money. Yeah, good point.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And
I can just imagine.
And he was saying as well that the roads are really terrible in Miami, so they would have to repair them, and I don't think the Miami Council would be wanting to pay for them. That's according to Bobby, which is a very good point.
If you watch
the city won't put the money in.
If you watch the Phantom Menace and they're having that pod race, and you've got the Sandmen shooting at them as they go past, you could do that in Miami. You just have to drive past. You wouldn't even need to set up the people with guns. They've got them. So, you know, at least from my experience of being in Miami that time, which was a bit scary. So
if you go off the beaten track.
How about this then? Instead of Miami or Daytona, a little bit further up the coast, there's this little series of islands. They have big rockety machines on them. You may have heard of it. It's called Cape Kennedy. And that would make a very interesting race circuit. I'm just saying.
Yeah. Or Orlando.
Could you imagine the headlines? Formula One coming from NASA.
Yeah, that would be quite. It's certainly got the credibility, wouldn't it?
Talk about Cape Canaveral Grand Prix. That would be good. Yeah. That would be amazing. Yeah.
Well, it would probably cost less than the launch of a space shuttle.
You could launch a space shuttle at the same time. What a show!
Exactly. And how could you beat? You could beat the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix by actually having a SpaceX launch in the middle of the Grand Prix. And I mean, that would be amazing.
So in the background, it takes off as
that's right.
So,
beat that Abu Dhabi.
Because I think it's the stupidest thing in the world when at the end of those Grand Prix in is it Singapore or somewhere, night Grand Prix, and they're going over the line, and I'm thinking,
all the fireworks and all that.
You're driving 200 mile an hour around a little street circuit, and only the guy at the front managed to finish before they start flashing big lights at you.
Exactly.
19 other drivers are driving around, and they're going to crash. Like you say, to compete, they go over the thing, and then SpaceX goes up, or Elon Musk with his large electric motor tied to a rocket or something.
That's it. You send a Falcon Heavy up in the middle of the Grand Prix to try and disrupt them. I mean, that would be amazing. This is what Liberty Media need to do. You see, that guy's got to think of the ratings.
And because everything's tailored with the characteristics of the country you're in, we go to Silverstone and you get 200 fat blokes. They get some Mentos and some Coca-Cola, and they make those shaky rockets instead.
That would be a very British way of doing it.
That would be the British way of doing it.
That's it.
200 fat blokes, pint of beer, Mentos.
Yeah.
That'd be ace.
That's it. A couple of Ginster's pasties to celebrate.
Yes, they'd be sending a Reliant Robin into space, like they did on Top Gear all those years ago.
And I want Ant here. I want Ant in punishment for kill 10,000 cows to offset the carbon footprint. What would the Italian Grand Prix have instead of the Mento rockets? And it would probably have to involve wine and pizza.
A lot of bureaucracy.
Bribes. Bribery.
Exactly. In Minecraft. Yeah, allegedly. Yeah.
Well, Bobby has answered your question, by the way. And he said that the infrastructure in regards to roads, and with the end of launching shuttles, they could repurpose that whole area. Because I've been there and seen it and watched the last night launch of the space shuttle. Thank you, Bobby. That was pretty much what I was thinking. I've seen the area. They've got some. I mean, you've got from the main building where they put it all together, and it goes on that massive tractor to 39 pads, 39 A and B. Yeah, that would be a hell of a straight because it's like 4 miles long or something like that, or 2 miles.
It is. Is it not gravel though? I suppose that might mix it up a bit, though, mightn't it?
Oh, they've done it in snow. What's your problem? These are meant to be the
No,
best.
that's fine. Yeah, it mix it up a bit.
Well,
That would be a massive show. The huge American flag on the vehicle assembly building in the background. I mean, you could get behind that. Yeah, Trump would fly over an Air Force One like he did with Daytona.
I've got a better idea. Put Trump in the rocket.
Oh, put him in the rocket
At the end. It'll please everybody. If people like Trump, they go, our president's going up in a rocket and he's going to go in space. And if you don't like Trump, they'll go, way, we're getting rid of Trump. It's no one's upset then. You just spin it the right way for everybody and everyone's cheese and Salamino cheese.
I was going to say,
that'll work. Mozzarella.
if I can bring any sense of reality at all back to the show.
At the minute, our sensible F1 show is now sending Donald Trump to space in a Falcon Heavy during the Cape Canaveral Grand Prix.
Okay.
Use the space shuttle to fly everything to the next Grand Prix.
Yeah, I suppose it's certainly there. I wouldn't like to pay for that, certainly, but
I'm not sure Greta would approve of that. I'm not sure it's.
Yes, the carbon footprint could be quite amazing. In terms of that one, it would be any idea of the FIA and Liberty Media trying to, cut their carbon footprint would be obliterated in seconds when they've got kind of more emissions than a blooming volcano as they take off with a rocket.
Yeah, but
they single-handedly produce more carbon dioxide than the whole of China combined for a day.
That.
But the Cape Canaveral Grand Prix was a huge success. Says Chase Healy.
How dare you? How dare you?
The winner gets a ride to the ISS. Well, better than that, the podium can be on the ISS. Why not?
Our Grand Prix is getting better and better. It is getting better. This idea is it's taking off. I think we should start organising it straight away.
I've got a question, a proper question. If you want to get all serious again, I'm not going to get too serious because right. Session 4 yesterday, Kubica ended up top of the timesheets.
That's true.
Anybody believe that's real?
No, it was. It was indeed.
Oh, I know it was real that he was at the top of the timesheets. What I'm asking is, do you actually think that Robert Kubica in an Alfa Romeo is faster than Lewis Hamilton in a Mercedes?
If he's travelling light, you could say. And they've got, they're on fumes.
What's this thing where they've all got C numbers now? C6, C7?
Yeah, there were about 5 different compounds.
Like Citroen or something, so all of a sudden.
You better hope not. The reliability might be an issue. It was like one fundamental flaw.
No, it's obvious that they're all sandbagging, apart from,
Ferrari.
I don't know because.
They say the car is not as good as it should be.
Matteo Binotto I think he's a canny fella. I don't think he's, just because he smiles. That guy's been around for a while. It's obvious they've got a lot more downforce than they had last year because the straight line speed. They thought it was that they were just getting a consistent engine, so that they were slower because the customer engines were just as fast. So they asked him, he went, no. That's it. No,
that's all they've got.
Power. Go away now. Busy. So I love him. I think he's great.
Well, on a kind of side segue from that, Alan Prost was interviewed because they are saying that he was complaining that all the regulations coming out of Europe regarding stopping the sale of petrol and diesel cars is affecting Formula One because obviously they use petrol engines. And he thinks that it's going to hurt the motor industry. And ultimately, all the big sponsors that come into Formula One, the big manufacturers, they need to sell cars. And they're not going to be able to do that if petrol and diesel is taken off the market even earlier. And he says you can't really go down, Formula One can't go down the electric route because, we've already got Formula E. And he said that could be really facing some challenges in the near future, depending on how it goes. And he said, why don't we choose like a V12 engine? Because in effect, some of like the top end Ferraris, like the LaFerrari and all the kind of amazing supercars are still using pretty big engines, but applying, the kind of hybrid technologies and things like that from Formula One and making them even faster and even more incredible. Do we go down that route? He said personally that's not his choice, but he could see why it might be a good idea, because it still means that the technology is doing something special and actually having an effect on your day-to-day cars. Because even the top-end cars, some of that technology will eventually come into the other cars as well. Because he says, what do you do? I mean, he doesn't see electric really working in Formula One. He says potentially hydrogen might be possible. That might be an option.
I can't see that going wrong.
An explosion. Well, it'll be an explosion that might actually send a rocket off up to space.
Exactly.
But
with the NASA Grand Prix, perfect.
Yeah, that would.
Sponsored by Jet Propulsion Laboratory.
Yeah, because you're going to need that if it goes up in smoke. But you're going to need to be able to travel 12 miles in a second.
No. Hydrogen and oxygen don't make smoke.
But I might not want to be around when it goes wrong.
No,
but yeah, so you might.
But I think it will have to go electric, won't it? Because in 15 years' time, when petrol and diesel cars are not on sale, which I think probably will be the case, then electric battery technology, the kind of energy density you can get into batteries with these new carbon batteries that they're making, it will improve. And then you certainly would get sort of 40 or 50 laps out of a battery car. I watched the Top Gear with the VW IDR, and it's phenomenal. It was faster than an F1 car, okay, for 12 minutes, but this is battery technology now.
Yeah,
it'd be a quick race.
I mean, in 10 years' time, you might get 20 minutes.
As energy density in batteries gets better and better, then I think the F1 and F1 is always. I mean, people sort of get upset about all these expensive races and the carbon footprint of all of it. But if it can use the technology from F1 to increase the energy density of the batteries in road cars, then it can really, then it's relevant, and you can see how it's actually on the forefront of technology.
One of the biggest things I've, sorry, Ant's just said about using scale electric, giant scale. One of the things that's always bugged me about when they ban stuff in F1 is I always thought F1 was meant to be the pinnacle.
Yeah,
it's meant to be innovative. That's the whole point. That if Adrian Newey was known for never making anything new and interesting, or Gordon Murray, or it wouldn't exist. It'd be pointless. So, as you say, F1 is the perfect platform where there's no holds barred to develop these things, and then
if you think
money in it, use the money for something sensible.
But since the 50s, it's been petrol. Since effectively it's been petrol.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
So I mean, that's 70 years, and in 80 years or whatever, they would have to go electric. And I think, well, they've already got Formula E, which is totally electric. So I still think, is Formula One going to define a different category, or is it going to be something that makes people think, wow, it's spectacular? And could you imagine a V12 hybrid in these Formula One cars? I mean, the noise would be exceptional. And it would. I think it would bring back the show, which it's. Well, although it would be good racing, when it's missing the noise. The noise was a huge part. Now you can hear the crowds cheer. You can hear the commentators cheer. Talk at the track when the cars go past. In the old days, it was like hands on the ears. You couldn't hear anything when they all came past.
Just reminds me of the Race of Champions when they had this. I've been to one Race of Champions in Wembley Stadium, and it was great, but was being completely spoilt by this Burke on the biggest set of speakers I've ever seen, and you couldn't hear the normal cars. They've got like the Expo and all this kind of stuff, 300 horsepower Focus RSs, and you couldn't hear them for this guy going, that's all you could hear. Oh. Then DC and Hamilton came out in the V8s, perfect. All you could hear was the engine. I mean, Wembley's a big place.
Yeah.
We were at the top, and all you could hear was, I'll tell you what, they sound a lot better in real life than they do on the telly.
Yeah, there's a great video to watch it for our listeners and our viewers as well of Ken Block and Lewis Hamilton. They're racing together on an American track. It's kind of in the desert, and he's got, I think it was the time when he had his McLaren, maybe it was his early Mercedes, and they're getting so close. He nearly crashes a few times, but obviously they're doing it for show. But the noise of that Mercedes is incredible. And then Ken Block in his rally car, who is missing him by millimeters as he's broad-sliding around. It's phenomenal. Best 2 or 3 minutes you ever see. And of course, the noise from the F1 car is just insane. And it's
I think they're a
it's
bit louder
brilliant.
this year. I mean, I was listening that they had a comparison of last year's car and this year's car, and it's marginally more guttural. It's a little bit louder, but it's still not.
It's because it's quite a low rev range. You know, before it used to be like 19,000 RPM, and now it's about 11.5 to 12,000 kind of peak revs. So you don't get the same.
It's okay.
tune, you know?
I mean, I used to like the sound of the old Formula 3000 cars.
Yeah.
But they were V8s, and they were was it 3-litre V8, something like that? And they only revved about 10, 12, didn't they? But they just had that animal sound. If it was an equivalent animal, it would be a dragon, and it's going to have your leg off.
Aye.
And it's going to be using the bones to pick its teeth, kind of idea. It was frighteningly wonderful. Whereas these, I mean, for a start, they sound like a bag of shite when they're on the limiter going down.
Yeah, they kind of crackle, don't they? Because the best sound was the old F-Duck cars. There was a great, I think it was Bose 92 that did that video when they go to Monza and they're going around the two Lesmo corners, and so they hair along out the chicane and then they back off just enough and go down a couple of gears as they hit the first Lesmo, and it kind of goes, you know, it's an incredible kind of heavenly sound as you hear this thing go around. And that's what you need. You need something that think, wow, you can't go and see that anywhere else. And at the moment, the cars they just don't sound nice at all. There's not a tune to it, you know.
Spice Girls and listening to Pavarotti having a sing, you know, it's just one's music and the other's.
I would say it's worse than Lizzie and Pavarotti at the moment.
The less said about that, the better.
Big Lizzie, and
the Brit Awards the other night.
Yeah.
But you don't think that partly that's why classic racing's getting more popular and things like the Goodwood Festival of Speed? If everything at Goodwood was electric, it would not be the same show. It's when you're walking from the car park and you're hearing a Ferrari FXX on the rev limiter or something. It's absolutely, it's a phenomenal thing. Personally, with F1, I'm in favour of, I'd cover a new formula called Formula None, which there are absolutely no rules. And you can do whatever you want. You can have a 32-litre V3. I don't really care. But if it gets around the track fast, then it would win. It's like athletics. I think with all the drug taking in athletics, allegedly,
Get on with it.
in Minecraft, then I think they should. I think they should be allowed to take whatever they want.
like some.
Yeah. So you go, oh, and here's Gary. He's just taken some white powder, and he's completed the 100 meters in 6 seconds. Wow, now he's dead. But that was
He received the award posthumously. You know.
Find his head, and we'll just put this around it.
That's right, the long jump. That's 25 meters he's done there. Again, the ambulance is now taking him away, and he's having his stomach pumped. But wow, what a spectacle!
Using hydrogen. That's what it was.
See, this is under Formula None. Then you can have hydrogen, and the driver will just have to take the risk. You know.
Yeah. So that's
a brilliant idea. Which, I mean, I like Ross Brawn, and I think he's a great. I think a lot of the ideas he's had they've been rejected not because they were bad ideas, it's because they were doing well already. They don't want to do something new because Ross Brawn knows his beans, doesn't he? But I still think it'd be better if we did it. And Ant, we need to get Ant, so we get Scale Electric powered by cheese. And some, I don't know, something to do with cows. And in NASA,
you need about 10,000 cows to sell the steaks in America, don't you? That would provide enough steaks on that. You know, that's what they have at Austin, Texas. They have the steak race.
Was it James Martin going to something to do with Super Bowl maybe or some college football thing? I mean, it wasn't like a national massive thing, but my God, the food they were making in the car park, I wouldn't have cared. It was amazing. Steaks the size of your house. I mean, come on.
Yeah. Well, it looks like, by the way, on the idea of I should do the Formula One times because this is what people were probably tuning in to find out. By the way, about an hour ago. Right. So here are the most up-to-date times from Barcelona today. They don't need to do that. We're supposed to do it for them.
We're going to do it for them. I'm just saying that's not the only reason they've clued into.
Of course not. But it was the main headline in the description. So we better at least fulfill on that. You know?
Who are you?
I think those viewers logged out about 43 minutes ago, Hugh. But go for it. You go for it. Do it like a top 10, like they used to do in the charts. In
Okay.
10, we have Alexander Albon.
Well, actually, you're absolutely right. My goodness.
Yeah, I do. There you go.
In the Red Bull Honda with a 1 minute 18.393. In 9th place, it's Kevin Magnussen with a 1 minute 18.225. In 8th place, Esteban Ocon for Renault in a 1 minute 18.013. In 7th place, Valtteri Bottas in the Mercedes with a 1 minute 17.985.
Medium tyres he had. Whereas the other ones had soft tyres, so you've got to take that into account.
Yes.
That's true. Max Verstappen in the Red Bull on a 1 minute 17.7. He only did 31 laps today. That wasn't very much. In 5th position was Lando Norris for the McLaren Renault. 1 minute 17.573.
Lando was on hard tyres. Just a little bit more information there.
That's quite good then. Nicholas Latifi in the Williams, a 1 minute 17.3, and he did 160 laps. And he's getting pretty close. Then the surprise, perhaps, Lance Stroll in Racing Point Mercedes, 1 minute 17.118, and he did 130 laps. But the fastest man on the track today was not Lewis Hamilton. No. It was Sebastian Vettel in the Ferrari with a 1 minute 16.841, and he managed 145 laps, which is pretty good going.
But he was on ultra soft tyres, so he's on the ultra softs. So
was that the C5 or the
C1? Is it C1?
No,
is that what they call the tyres these days? I missed that little bit.
Yeah, I think C1 to C5.
C something.
Is that compound 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or something?
Yeah.
Right.
And guess where Lewis Hamilton finished?
I think he probably had 13th with a 122.45 on medium tyres.
Okay, I was going to say something naughty there. You bugger, you found out before me. But it was,
the internet. Yeah.
Wait, he's got his glasses on, so he's reading something.
I am reading. It's my serious,
you see.
Yes, my research look.
Just because he's wearing that sort of cap thing that makes him look like he's about to, nick somebody's handbag, does not mean he can't read.
It's my IQ reducer, as they used to be called, baseball cap. Your IQ drops by 20 percentage points as soon as you put it on. That flat cap you got there.
Yep.
Farmeroo. Goodness me.
This is my homage, my English homage to Jack Stewart.
Very good. It goes very well with the leopard skin ear covers or whatever, the tiger skin ear covers.
Oh, these are great. These are. You can't actually see these because they're camouflaged.
All I can see is your face. I can't see them at all. Yeah.
Well, on that note, we will probably bring the stream to an end, but stay on the line, you two, because we'll have a quick chat afterwards. But remember, for all our viewers and all our listeners, thank you so much for joining us. And if you know of other motorsport enthusiasts who would love to come and join the show and listen to all the things that we talk about here on the Car Sim and Race Driver Show, let them know, share it out, give us a like and a comment, and subscribe as well if you can, or even if you dare. But you've been listening to me, which is Hugh Hattrick, and my special guest, Andrew Marr, at the top there, and Jonathan Sutherland. It's been great to have you with us tonight. Remember our motto, drive fast and try not to crash. Speak to you soon. Bye-bye just now.
Is it weird?
Here we are.
I think it says it's finished. I think we're safe. We can speak freely. We're no longer in Minecraft.
Bye, Ant.
Here we go.
Did you see what Ant put at the end? Sprout.